Welcome back to Aurora Tech Channel. Today, I'm going to review the WizMaker P1 3D printer. This machine will be launched on Kickstarter soon. There are quite a lot of features packed in this printer, including an energy-efficient heated bed that claim to save at least 30% power, a voice control system, clean cable management, as well as many common features you can expect from a new generation 3D printer, such as a 32-bit motherboard and silent stepper drivers, a direct drive extruder, auto bed leveling, a dual Z-axis, a PEI spring steel print surface, a 4.3-inch color touchscreen, X and Y-axis belt tensioners, full-size SD card support, and a pretty nice appearance with a gray anodized aluminum frame. In this video, I will unbox and assemble this printer, do some test prints, and test out how much energy it can actually save compared to a regular 3D printer like an Ender 3. I would like to thank WizMaker for sending me this machine for early review. With that, let's get started. The printer is pretty much pre-assembled. We have the base, the gantry, an integrated hot end assembly, a 4.3-inch touchscreen, a filament holder, a roll of 200-gram filament, and the power cord. You may be wondering where the tool bag is, and it's actually inside the drawer. First, I will connect the gantry to the base. Move it to the side of the table and tighten two M4 by 40mm screws underneath. Rotate it and do the same to the other side. Next, put the hot end assembly on the X carriage plate and tighten three M4 by 8mm screws from the back. Then, mount the filament holder on top of the machine and tighten the T-nuts to secure it on the aluminum extrusion. The touchscreen should be installed at the front right of the machine and secure it with two M4 by 16mm screws. There's only one ribbon cable from the main board. Let it go around the X-axis from the back and over the top, and then connect it to the X-axis connector. Remove the double-sided tape and stick the ribbon cable along the Z-axis. We also need to connect the extension ribbon cable to the hot end assembly. Make sure it moves smoothly and the cable doesn't get in the way. The screen cable is located at the bottom of the screen, and it would be easier to connect if we flip the printer over. Then, connect the Z-axis stepper motor on the right, followed by the left motor. Before I connect the power cord, I want to make sure the power supply is set to 115 volts as I am in the US. Okay, we can connect the power to the machine. Similar to the Prusa, it has a wizard. It's going to run a self-test to make sure the X, Y, and Z axis, the hot end, the different zones on the heated bed, and the memory are all working. Okay, it seems everything is fine and we can press finish. It will start heating up the bed and do auto bed leveling. Next, we can feed in some filament once the nozzle is heated up to 210 degrees. I'm using some green PLA, and it seems this printer had been tested before being shipped, as there is some different filament inside the nozzle. Insert the SD card and press finish, and the printer is starting a test print. As you can see, when the print first starts, all three zones of the heated bed are turned on. Once it prints the first two layers, it should switch off the zones that are not used. Only the middle zone is heated. When I touch the heated bed, I can feel the area outside the middle circle is not heated. The test print is a tiny dog, and it should be finished in a few minutes. I think the G-code is not sliced optimized to this printer. There are some filament retraction issues and the print does not look great, but at least the printer is working. I will now go to the computer to set up this printer. Click Add Printer, and since this printer is not in the market yet, you won't see it on the list. Just select Ender 3 Pro, as most 3D printers use an Arduino mainboard and Marlin firmware, so the profile should be pretty similar. Change the name to WizMaker P1. Set the maximum Z height to 265mm and leave all default settings. The only thing you need to change is the retraction settings. Since the stock Ender 3 Pro is a Bowden setup, the retraction distance is set to 6.5mm and 25mm per second in speed, so I will just change it to 2mm in distance and 30mm per second for speed. I will come back to adjust this after the first print. Let's start with a simple calibration cube. I will just stick to the default settings and start the print. The print actually looks okay. The Z offset is a little low as the bottom layers are squeezed and form an elephant foot. I will move the nozzle up using the screen menu when I start the next print. Next, I will slice the 3D Benchy and keep the same settings, except I will change the Z offset from positive 0.15 to positive 0.2. This time the bottom looks much better, but I think the 2mm retraction distance is a little bit too much. I will reduce it to 1mm before I start the next print. I will reprint the test print dog. This time I will scale it up to 300%. I will remove the base by lowering the 3D model on the build plate so anything below 0 will not be printed. Let's change the scale to 400 and it should look better at 450. Okay, it looks alright, and the base is right under the build plate so it won't be printed. Let's slice this model and start the print. This time it looks much nicer than the first test, as the scale is larger and the 1mm retraction distance seems just right for this extruder. The print surface texture on the bottom also looks pretty nice. Next, I will try the Chrysler building by Mini World 3D. I will scale it up to 200mm in height. The building looks amazing. I'm happy with the details on the surface as well as the tip at the top. This final part of filament retraction should be cut out, but I think this print looks really nice. We'll also print a set of bolts and nuts with the same blue PLA filament. The surface is looking good, and they also fit nicely. It seems the accuracy of this printer is quite good. Afterwards, I will print this Spider-Man model. I think I don't need that much support, and just supporting the chin will be fine. I will add some support blockers to the area I don't want to support. Okay, it looks fine, so I think I will give it a try and see if using only minimum support can still work. The support from the chin can be removed easily. The surface of this model is really beautiful. The layer lines are not obvious on this model, and I'm very happy with the result. Next, I will try to print some cable clips with ABS filament and see if the bed also sticks well. Since these clips only have a small contact surface with the bed, if the bed doesn't stick well, they will come off easily. It seems this textured PEI sheet can make ABS stick just like PLA. It allows you to push deeper into the surface, so a glue stick is not required when printing ABS. I will also print a set of shelf brackets with PETG. I printed this set of brackets at 0.3mm layer height, and the bed can also stick PETG pretty well. The layers and bottom all look good. Finally, I will test some flexible filament. I need 2 feet for my other printer as the rack is not deep enough for my Sidewinder X2, and I will use some black TPU to print 2 feet for it. I would just print at 60mm per second as normal, with the nozzle at 240 degrees and the bed at 60 degrees. I will put these soft feet under my large printer, and these can also absorb vibration. As we have an energy-efficient heated bed, it will automatically turn off the unused heat zones after the first 2 layers are printed. I will use the power meter to test how much energy we can save with this feature. As you can see, when the printer is idle, it consumes around 5 to 6 watts. When I try to heat up the bed to 60 degrees, it draws about 260 watts from the wall. Once the bed is heated up, I will go to the bed settings and all 3 zones are turned on. I will reset the meter and let it keep the temperature at 60 degrees for all zones for 30 minutes to see how much energy is consumed. It jumps from 5 to 6 watts to 150 watts to heat up the bed when the temperature drops below 60 degrees. After 30 minutes, the meter shows it burned around 0.021 kilowatts, which is 21 watts used to keep all 3 zones at 60 degrees. I will then reset the meter, turn off zone 3, and only keep zones 1 and 2 at 60 degrees for 30 minutes. The meter shows it burned around 16 watts. Finally, I will reset the meter again, but this time I only kept zone 1 at 60 degrees. After 30 minutes, the meter shows that it burned only 7 watts. It looks like if we print something small, we can save 2/3 of the energy by just keeping a smaller zone of the bed heated. But of course, when you actually print something, the nozzle and stepper motors also consume the same amount of power. So as I'm curious how much energy we can actually save, I will print a Benchy with the Halo bed feature on. As you can see, after the first 2 layers were printed, zones 2 and 3 were turned off. After the print is complete, the meter shows it actually burned 126 watts to print this Benchy. Next, I will print the Benchy again with the Halo bed feature off. All 3 zones are on during the whole print, and the meter shows it burned 170 watts to print this Benchy. The actual difference is around 25% in actual printing. Since this printer claims to save more than 30% of energy, I will use the Ender 3 Pro to print the exact same G-code and see how much energy it uses. Surprisingly, the Ender 3 Pro burned 204 watts to complete the print, so it actually saved 38% of energy compared to a regular printer. Overall, I would say that this does do what it claimed it could. I'm also curious on how much energy is required for a larger print bed to print a Benchy. So I also tested out the longer LK5 Pro, which I just reviewed last week. It's not fair to compare the power efficiency between heated beds with different sizes. This print bed is 310 by 310, and it's supposed to consume more power than a regular 235 by 235 bed on the Ender 3 and the WizMaker. But just for your reference, it burned 241 watts to print the same Benchy, which is about 18% more than the Ender 3. Let's talk about what I like about this printer. The assembly is super easy, and the build quality is really good. It's much better than average 3D printers. The gray anodized aluminum frame also looks really nice. It also prints very well out of the box, and the color touchscreen is one of the best I have ever used. It has some advanced features like for you to set steps, acceleration, maximum speed, and junction deviation, which is quite impressive as a touchscreen menu. The print surface sticks well with PLA, PETG, ABS, and TPU. The energy-efficient heated bed also really works, and it did a good job on saving energy as what the manufacturer claimed. However, there are a few things I would like to suggest for improvement. First, the single gear extruder with a strong spring seems to be gripping the filament pretty well, but a dual gear extruder should be even better. Second, the voice control feature is cool, but since this printer doesn't support Wi-Fi printing, you still need to walk to the printer and insert the SD card. I think a Wi-Fi feature with a Cura plugin to upload G-code from the computer and automatically start the print would be more convenient. Third, for the energy-saving heated bed, the way it works is that it heats up the whole bed first and turns off the unused zones after printing the first 2 layers. It would be better to read the first layer of the G-code file before heating up the bed and just heating up the necessary zones, which could save even more energy. Finally, the firmware set the maximum temperature of the nozzle to 260 degrees and the heated bed to 110 degrees. The hot end is one-piece metal, but I think it should be an all-metal hot end. If it can print up to 300 degrees, that would allow the printer to print most kinds of filament, including nylon carbon fiber, which would bring this printer to the next level. The only issue I have found so far is that the energy-efficient bed doesn't turn off the heat zones when printing at 0.3mm layers. It works perfectly fine at a 0.2mm layer height, so I think that's an easy-to-fix firmware bug. Besides that, I can't find any issues so far. In conclusion, this is a high-quality printer and I am satisfied with it. WizMaker will launch their Kickstarter campaign soon, so if you're interested in knowing what the early bird price of this printer is, I left their site link down below. That's it for this video. If you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. My brother and I make a new video every weekend, so check out my channel on Mondays and you'll see something new. See you next week.
Hi, I am coming.
No! Hello, WizMaker.
Hi, I am coming.
Preheat PLA.
Preheat PLA.
Hello, WizMaker.
Hi, I am coming.
Print the first file.
Do you confirm to print the first file?
I confirm.
Okay, start execution.
Execution?
Start printing.